I walked into a stranger's house, like I lived there. When I was in first or second grade, Halloween was the biggest event of the year. That magical night when I could transform into anything I wanted. A superhero, a ghost, or in this case, an absolute idiot. My friend and I lived in a townhouse complex, and we had a solid trick-or-treating route planned. Things were going great. Our pillowcases were getting heavier, and the sugar rush was imminent. Then we approached a house that seemed vaguely familiar, maybe a classmate's. But at the time, I wasn't too concerned with details. Candy was candy. We rang the doorbell, shouted our little trick or treat, chant, and collected our sugary loot. But as soon as I turned around, my friend was gone. Just vanished into the night like a Halloween-themed Houdini. I looked left, I looked right. No sign of him. Now, most kids would have just continued trick-or-treating or at the very least walked home. But not me. No, my tiny elementary school brain came up with a far more brilliant idea. He must have gone inside. So naturally, I stepped into the house. A stranger's house. Immediately, I realized something was off. It was too quiet. There was no sign of my friend, no kids running around, no leftover Halloween decorations inside. Instead, there was a family sitting at the dinner table, mid-bite, staring at me like I had just descended from another planet. The dad had a fork halfway to his mouth. The mom looked like she was trying to compute what was happening. The grandma just squinted at me, probably wondering if I was some weird new neighbor kid. At this point, my brain went into full shutdown mode. I just stood there, watching them, like some kind of uninvited dinner guest. A very small, very confused, very unwanted dinner guest. For what felt like an eternity, but was probably 5 seconds, no one said a word. They just stared at me, and I stared back, holding my little candy bucket like I had been personally invited to this feast. Then, like a slow-loading web page, my brain finally processed, this is not my house. This is not my friend's house. I have just broken into a random family's home. Panic set in, but instead of apologizing or explaining myself like a normal person, I did the only thing my tiny embarrassed self could think of. I slowly, awkwardly shuffled backward out of the house. No words, no excuses, just a slow, mortified retreat. The worst part? They never said a word either. They just watched as I backed out, closed the door behind me, and vanished into the night like the socially incompetent cryptid I was. Needless to say, I never trick-or-treated at that house again.